G'day everybody, it's Daniel and Matt here from GI Energy, and today we're covering off Sigenergy frequently asked questions. Obviously in recent times battery volume has just gone through the roof, largely due to new rebates and incentives being introduced. And with that volume, there's been a huge increase in Sigenergy installs. Certainly for us here, we're installing a lot of them now. And with that, there's lots of questions get asked out there in general on forums and also directly with us. So we wanted to do a short video to give you feedback on as many of those frequently asked questions as possible. The first one that we get asked a lot about is the gateway. The gateway is basically a small subboard that goes next to your battery where all your circuits connected to. And that gateway comes with a separate warranty. So we get asked a lot of questions about that warranty. Matt, do you want to dive into that a little bit for us, please?
Yeah, sure. So when we started installing Sigenergy systems a while ago now, the gateway came with a standard warranty of 2 years, which compared to others obviously on the market was quite low, just to be fair. The warranty has been increased to 5 years as standard for both the single and three-phase model. And you can actually increase that to 10 years for a small fee as well. So from our experience, obviously, you want to have a solid warranty there. Sigenergy have got a massive foothold in the country now as well. So really good to see that that warranty has been increased and improved through feedback from installers like ourselves and others that have been putting in a lot of these systems that obviously fully understand the intricacies of how to install that to allow the home to be supplied with full backup if there's an outage.
That's great. So obviously a very small fee to get you through to the full 10 years if you choose to. That's good news for people that were concerned about the warranty. Sticking with the gateway, another question that we get asked a lot is about the cable management. That was a bit of a point of contention for some people. So Can you tell us how that works? Yeah,
so it wasn't really something that we'd noticed as an issue or anything at all. So it obviously before the standard cable entry was obviously below into the gateway. The new model now has a shroud that covers everything, so it looks a lot neater. And I think one of the concerns maybe some installers in the country had was maybe it wasn't as neat as some of the others that were out there. So that shroud would cover off obviously the standard installation, but with the new model of the gateway, you can actually do rear cable entry as well. So similar to other competitors that have a gateway solution for their backup, that keeps it very, very neat. So there's now two options there. So depending on the installer, their experience, and obviously how they want to do things, I think it's a pretty good option to have the two decisions that they can make there to make it look as neat as possible, obviously installed to standards that are of course required, and provide a great solution for backup for the home. And through obviously dozens of these installations we've done now, it hadn't really been raised, as I said before, but the main thing for us was always, does it fit the purpose? Does it give the customer backup? And obviously through some pretty severe storms we had several months ago now, the system did exactly what we said it would and exactly what Sigenergy desired to do. So that was the first point for us, was make sure it does exactly what you want it to do. Now you've got a neater way of doing it, and it's reasonably quick to actually install, which I think has been a huge thing for installers, is how straightforward they've made this, and taking that feedback on where other installers have said, can we do the rear entry? Sigenergy have turned that around within a couple of months, which is just unheard of. I don't know another manufacturer that we work with or have worked with in the past of doing batteries for 10 years now that actually listen to installer feedback and put something into action so quickly and have a solution out for the market. It's pretty good.
Just to put that into a little bit of perspective, what the rear entry and the cable coming at the bottom looks like for people that don't know, the Tesla gateway is the one, isn't it? The benchmark one for aesthetics. And that's basically just a box on the wall. You really don't see anything coming in and out of it. That's because the cables are obviously coming in behind. Yeah. You couldn't do that before with Sigenergy. They had to go up the bottom. So some installs, they will still come in the bottom and you'll see them, but now it is possible for some to have it completely hidden. So it's just now a box on the wall. So it looks a bit closer to that Tesla polished finish.
And if you are going to do bottom entry, you've got the shroud to cover it. Yeah. So similar to other inverters that obviously have where the DC and AC wires in underneath, there's a shroud there just to keep everything nice and neat. So whichever way you have it there, I'm sure you'll be really pleased with how it looks.
Yeah, great. So the other question that we get asked a lot is about the cover for the Sigenergy battery. Basically, is it good enough? Is it going to keep weather out? Is it going to erode over time?
Yep.
I know a lot of people have got some concerns there. Can you shed some light on that for us as well?
Yeah, so the Sigenergy unit itself, the actual battery modules, the energy controller that forms the all-in-one stack, is IP66 rated. There's then an aesthetic cover that goes around the unit, essentially. So 50 mil each side is roughly what it sits. So it's sort of the way that I've looked at it over a couple of months now is if you get a new phone, an iPhone or an Android or whatever else, you buy the phone and then you're generally out of cover, which protects it if you drop the phone or anything else. Obviously, the inverter and battery isn't moving. It's not going anywhere. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But it's aesthetic. It looks great. I don't really know another product that looks as good as this. The lights on the unit, the way everything sits, obviously all in one, minimizes any other cable that's visible and stuff like that. So it's obviously been put out there that maybe there's some concerns over the longevity of that product. And I guess it comes back to this. If you have a new car and you park the car in your garage, out of the rain, out of the weather, out of the sun, everything else, the paint is going to look better 5 years later than if it's just been out all day, obviously just sitting on your driveway or at the office or whatever else where it goes. So like anything, that's obviously pretty common sense is sort of how we would have addressed it. So there is a protectant in the cover to reduce obviously any degradation in how it looks over time. So for us, we've always seen this cover as a benefit to have. It looks great. That really was the goal of having this in place. But I guess, yeah, like anything, if something's out in the weather, over time, there's probably going to be a slight adjustment in how it looks. Sigenergy have really tried to prevent that with, obviously, the way that this is designed, and I'm sure it'll work pretty well. But we want to give a fair representation, and I guess that comes back to where we install the product. We'll always try and find a sheltered spot for the battery where possible. There's obviously a lot of regulations around location for batteries with windows, other plant, all sorts of other things that we've got to adhere to. And so if we can tuck it away, absolutely we will. But some of the jobs just have to be outside, and we'll obviously try and find the most suitable location for that.
I think the car analogy is a good one. It's not going to basically break, is it, your car from being outside? It's still going to work. It just might not look as good. So there's going to be some degrading factors there having it outside, irrespective of what the battery is. But what you're saying is basically that regardless of what happens to the cover, the battery itself inside is protected quite well. So it doesn't seem to be a big concern.
Even with that cover as well, I've asked Sigenergy this question a few times over a long period now, and they haven't been informed of any that have broken. So it's not like it's broken in transit. They haven't had installers that have said, oh, this is broken when we've installed the unit, we need a replacement to commission the system or obviously return to site. So if they're aware of a problem with it, they'd probably sort it out, because they've sorted out obviously any other suggestions installers have put forward. So yeah, it's an aesthetic thing. They haven't broken anyway. It's if anything, I think it's a pretty solid idea. Yeah,
no, fair enough. Another thing that we get asked a lot and is raised as an ongoing concern, which we've spoken about in other videos, is how long Sigenergy have been in business compared to other leading brands. What would you say to somebody asking you about that?
I think that's the main question we've been asked. And as you mentioned at the start, inquiries have gone through the roof since the new subsidy was announced. And people want to do their due diligence and obviously make sure that they're doing this right. You get one crack at this subsidy. So you want to get the right solution, the right amount of storage, and the right installer that's going to look after you. So that's a different topic. But in terms of the time in business, Sigenergy's revenue in the first 2 years was in excess of $200 million.
Yeah.
That's huge. For a new company, new cab off the rank in a hyper-competitive market in Australia and globally, of course, as well. I've never known anyone else come in with this sort of buzz, this quality, and I guess it's a bit of they've timed it perfectly, because obviously with the subsidy as well, their market share has increased month on month to be the number one in Australia now for modular batteries, which is a hell of a journey in such a short space of time. And market share globally as well is increasing. So it's not just here in Australia. This product's being used in the UK. I know people there that are using it in many other countries across Europe and globally everywhere. So to give it a fair representation, it is a newer company. As we mentioned in the previous videos, the components aren't anything new. They're tried and tested. The senior management team have as much, if not more, experience than any other manufacturer of storage products available in Australia. So engineers, obviously experts in the field that have built other huge companies to be global leaders in inverters previously. So it's not a concern that we have, and it's something really to, I guess, look at. This product has just changed the market. It feels like that iPhone moment where this is the next step in tech and how everything's improved. And with the benefit of being a software company as well as a manufacturer, there's consistent firmware updates to the product. So the end user experience through the app, the installer commissioning the systems, just gets smarter and smarter. So for a newer company, in theory, it now feels like everybody else is on the back foot trying to recreate what Sigenergy have done here. So they're already on the back foot, and Sigenergy just continue to move forward. So it's something certainly to look at, because as I said, you get one crack at this subsidy, but if this is now the market leader in Australia in such a short space of time, it's remarkable, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what I would say to the concern, which I have done to plenty of friends of mine who I've suggested Sigenergy for, yes, it is a newer company. If you are worried about it, you don't have to install it. It's not the only battery on the market. There are other choices, but after being in this industry since 2009 myself, if I was doing it at my own house right now, I've installed batteries a long time ago. If I was starting again, I would do it with Sigenergy, and I think all products have pros and cons, and this is one of the cons. But if you're not comfortable with it, you don't have to do it. We're not. We don't want to push any product too hard onto somebody. Obviously, we're not aligned with them other than we love the product and we're installing them. So we're certainly not exclusive to Sig. So you don't have to have it, but it's not a concern for us, basically.
Not at all. And I mean, look at all the other positives that come with it.
Exactly.
Look at everything else it can do, and I think that really outweighs anything else personally. I mean, I've got 2 other inverters at home. I've got another battery. I'm genuinely thinking about doing this as well.
I know you are. You're going to have a Sig soon, aren't you?
I know. It's just, well, yeah, hopefully. We've got a lot ordered for obviously existing clients and obviously new business. But it's, yeah, I just feel like for me personally, what I have has done its job. And yeah, I'm ready for the next thing.
We'll have to see if we can fit you into the install schedule somewhere.
Thanks, mate.
The next one that we get asked a lot, and this is going to be an increasingly asked question, is V2G, so vehicle to grid and vehicle to home technology, basically meaning that if you have an electric vehicle, you can now utilize the battery in that vehicle inside your house and also back into the grid. Sig has an advantage there over its competitors. Can you tell us exactly how that works, where we are now with it? Because I know it's obviously not necessarily possible to do right away.
Yeah.
How do you combat that question when you're asked?
Yeah, look, it's another fair question. I guess the way that I would look at it is there's no other product on the market that can do this right now. So for some people, this may be a couple of years away, but I think it's actually a lot closer than a lot of people think. And regardless of if that's very short to a few years down the line, it's ready to do it. If this product is ready to do that, some of the cars aren't ready to do it yet.
Yeah.
But they've obviously innovated this so far ahead of everything else and incorporated that there, that ultimately to have that capability, going back again, you get the subsidy once. You're obviously going to, in theory, fingers crossed, do this once with the right amount of storage. If you have a product that's ready to do that, you're so far ahead of anything else, is the way that I personally would look at it.
Yeah.
I have an EV. The EV I have is not ready for vehicle to grid, vehicle to home, and that's fine. I'm not necessarily looking at doing that, but the next one that we replace the car with, or the other car at home, probably will have that capability.
Yeah.
So if I've got a system ready with a number of battery modules and all I'm doing is just adding the DC charger into that stack, it's just awesome how you can do that so simply. And as I said, look, it might be a pipe dream for some people. It might feel like it's miles and miles away, and that may be because of the distributor and other things in the area, but it's ready to go. That's where I'd look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit like, I don't know if I'm showing my age here, but you used to buy a TV that was HD ready. You remember that? Before HD was actually there, and if you bought an HD ready TV, when the HD technology was available from Foxtel or
Yeah.
whoever it was back then, your TV would be able to produce high definition images. Where if you bought an older TV that didn't have it, wasn't ready. So if you buy a Sigenergy battery, and in the future you do want to have that V2G capability, you've got the hardware and software there. Whereas if you buy another battery that doesn't have it, then you'd have to obviously do a lot more to get there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, I spoke to a gentleman yesterday. He just purchased a new EV with the assumption that EV was ready for vehicle to grid, vehicle to home, and obviously hadn't looked in that much detail before, but through a consultation that we had, we looked at the AC charger initially because he was looking to charge the car pretty quickly. There's a reasonable amount of Ks, but the AC charger worked perfectly for that solution. And I guess that's where you need to speak to someone that knows about this to say, okay, this is the car, or this is the car I'm planning to get, however many variables there may be there. You've got a system that has both options.
Yeah.
Enough storage, enough solar, potential retailer as well to look at to improve that and supplement the charging.
Yeah.
So if you can get that full turnkey solution right now, get
it all done.
Absolutely.
The other one that we get asked about a bit is the DC to DC converter. Basically, is it necessary? Is it just something else that can break? Does it need to be in there, and why is it there? What do you tell people when they're asking you that?
Yeah, this has probably been asked a little bit less, but we've certainly had a few questions about this. So the way that Sigenergy designed their modules is that they're installed in parallel.
Yep.
So majority of other options on the market are in series. So the advantage of having them in parallel, and the point of actually having this converter in there, is should Sigenergy release a different module. So right now we're at 5 and 8 kilowatt hour capacity. There might be a higher density one in the future. So you can add that. You can mix and match different modules here. So you can have a 5, you can have an 8, you could have a 9, whatever may occur there. With other batteries that we install still as well, and have a lot in the field, should they supersede that model, it's not backwards compatible. So you may be able to grab the older module and that works fine, but having the converter in there that allows it to work in parallel just means that, again, something changes in the future. They've just thought of that point the same way they have with the DC charger. Yeah. Other bits and pieces. So it's just that forward thinking to allow the system to adapt as our needs adapt. Really.
Yeah, it's future-proofing it again, isn't it?
Yeah.
This one probably ties in with the time in business and gets asked along the same lines as that. The after-sales support, should something be needed, how are they going to basically help with that? Because obviously they've got this significant growth.
Yeah.
What's it like now, and do we believe that it's going to be improved in the necessary way?
Yeah, there's been a few questions around this, and again, I guess that's definitely a fair question to ask, because installing a battery system, you're providing a long-term solution and a liability essentially for the system as the installer, the retailer. So Sigenergy have been hiring more and more people to obviously deal with after-sales support and obviously on-site support for commissioning of the system. And with the exponential growth that they've experienced over a reasonable amount of time now, ultimately there probably have been some teething issues there. There's just no way they could have prepared for that growth, because initially the subsidy wasn't available. Yeah. There was some state subsidies which would have increased it somewhat, but we're now in that next era now, obviously, of batteries, and Sigenergy is the solution, really, in my opinion, that is just streets ahead of everything else. So they have more and more staff that they're hiring, obviously, for that support. They have support through wholesalers as well. So for obviously tech support questions that have obviously helped us and other installers, and also after sales there as well. So I think that will be something that we see continue to improve and obviously evolve over time. And yeah, I've seen some stuff online that sort of said, oh, the support's not been great. And I think you just have to give it a bit of a grain of salt there to say, look, they've gone from here to here in such a short space of time. Yeah. There's just no way you could have got to there. And I guess, look, there's other products that we install and have installed that have had varying support as well. I'm sure you experienced that yourself.
You could point to some manufacturers, and I won't name names, but really reputable products that we continue to install because they're reputable and because they're very good, but they've been around for decades. And honestly, the support probably isn't as good as what the industry would like it to be with some of those. So it's not unusual for support teams to get bashed a little bit online. It's difficult to keep up with demand that comes and goes. So they'll probably never be perfect. There is one manufacturer who is very, very good and has probably set the benchmark there. And I think, in fairness, I won't name names there either if we're not doing that. But if they can get to that level, it'll be very impressive. I think. I just think you have to accept that, as I said before, every product has some cons, and right now they're probably not ramped up to where they need to be, as nobody would with that such quick growth. And there's going to be some teething issues there, but it's not like things aren't getting looked after. They're not turning their back on things. And there's also AI built into the battery, which is quite helpful. Not that you want to necessarily only deal with that, but it can be quite useful to troubleshoot. I think that will be quite helpful for homeowners and for businesses in the future. You can ask it what the issue is, and it will help you try and resolve it. So I think they're doing pretty well, and I think it will improve. Which probably leads us on to the last frequently asked question, which is the warranty. What's the warranty like? Is it going to be as good as other batteries?
Yeah, I guess the warranty is in line with everything else really of quality on the market. So 10 years for a defect component, whatever else. Obviously 70% of the original installed capacity of the battery as well. So solid warranty that's in place. And I guess that is the same question we get asked there that coincides with the time in business, the after sales support. And there isn't really a battery in Australia that's got to that year 10 point that we can compare to be fair. They're all really, obviously the battery boom is now happening, but it's been initial growth, pretty slow growth really over the past 10 years, and which obviously has increased year on year for several other reasons. So the warranty there at 10 years, 70%, definitely in line with everything else. We mentioned the gateway warranty earlier as well being increased. So everything's going in the right direction. And we certainly feel that security is there for us because, it took us a while to obviously jump in. And I'm glad we did because, the product, the feedback from installers, the feedback from end users is just brilliant. And there's a couple of colleagues of ours that are installing Sigenergy systems as well. So we practice what we preach. If that's what you're putting into your own home, I don't think there's a clearer message for how much we believe in it.
100%. No, we're very, very happy with how it's going. If you think of any other questions that haven't been answered, obviously our team here would love to help. You can get in touch with us very easily on the website. We do obviously no obligation free solar and battery proposals, which will tell you exactly how much money you can save with a Sigenergy battery or another battery if you want to look at others. So please do get in touch. If not, hopefully this video has been some value to you, and we may hear from you in the future. Thanks.
Thank you.